Hello and welcome to my TOK presentation. My name is Catalina Ramos, and for my real life situation, firstly, I will be analyzing and telling you about the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting. On February 14, 2018, a former student of Parkland High School is accused of murdering 17 students. 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, armed with a AR-15 rifle, arrived to the school in an Uber, and in less than 10 minutes, the range ended. After the scene, he left to a Subway and McDonald's and was later detained. He was suspended from the high school before for disciplinary issues, and all the teachers called him a troubled kid. Students said that he posted about guns, he was abusive to his ex-girlfriend, and talked about the killing of animals and more. So we can see that everyone was already expecting something weird from him. I decided to do the Stoneman Douglas High School because it was very recent. It was first encountered in my TOK class, and we discussed it and analyzed its motivations, and we learned that we should be very careful with everyone around us because we don't know what is going on in their minds. It is significant to me because it can happen to anyone anywhere, and we can't know who is feeling this way. It is also related to my extended essay topic, which is terrorism. Shooters target schools because they have a connection to the school they target. My ways of knowing is it involves emotion because something triggers their feelings to act on them, and it also involves intuition because of the gut feelings. My areas of knowledge are ethics and human science because it focuses on a person's brain and their way of thinking. My knowledge question is, to what extent do knowledge through experiences affect our future emotions and behaviors? And I will be answering this to a great extent. Knowledge through experiences affect our future emotions and behaviors because we will never forget them, and through them, we learn. Our feelings towards something may become stronger or weaker. The definition for emotion is that emotion can be an obstacle or a source of our knowledge. Emotions have a psychological basis, and feelings are influenced by our culture. The definition for intuition is that intuition is a first instinct, but it is not always reliable. So we cannot trust our intuition or our gut. Firstly, we will see the A study that proves my knowledge claim. This was a study done in the early 1990s by a physician Kaiser Permanent named Vincent Felitti. It was based on the fact that early lives affect your adulthood. The patients were dropouts from out of a weight loss program. They indeed lost their weight, but he later had individual interviews with them to talk about their early life. He wanted to see the reason why they dropped out of their weight loss program if they were successful. By this, he learned that the weight loss made them feel vulnerable. He later discovered that they had experienced some sort of sexual abuse experience and that the weight made them feel protected, as if no one could do anything to them. This connects to my knowledge statement because it supports the fact that prior knowledge through experiences affect our future experiences. My counterclaim is that knowledge through experiences does not affect our future emotions and behaviors because in the long run, we decide who we want to become. Firstly, I will talk about an article that I read written in the Psychology Today by the clinical psychologist Josh Gressel, who has a PhD. He states that childhood issues are not to blame. He highlights that adults should not blame their parents for their bad childhood, but say influence, and if they are willing to take that influence and to change it into something positive. Carry the good influences and change the bad ones. Do not avoid personal responsibility. An example to support this article would be the Vegas shooting in October 1, 2017. This gunman killed 57 people and injured more than 500, had unknown motives. He was a lonely man and had no connection to any extremist groups. He was later found dead. But as we can see here, people can also, for my counterclaim, we can also see that people might not attack for any specific reason or for prior knowledge. Knowledge through experiences, for my conclusion, not knowledge or experiences, affect our future emotions, to a great extent because some of those experiences can traumatize you or affect you emotionally. Experiences can change the way we think and act. And this conclusion relates a lot to the Stoneman Douglas High School. It connects to the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting because Nicholas Cruz, the shooter, did have previous experiences that affected his early life. His mother died earlier, and he had been rejected by the Stoneman Douglas High School as well. Because his mother died, he has to stay in a foster home because his father was not present in his life. He was also rejected by his girlfriend, which made him even more hurt because he not only didn't have parents, he didn't have the person he loved as well. He had many guns in his foster parents' home, hidden, and he was seen getting into multiple fights. His previous trauma, like the death of his mother and the expulsion of the high school, was his prior knowledge that affected his emotions so greatly that he decided to attack the school. I think that the final straw for him was the expulsion of his high school, and that is why he decided to attack the Stoneman Douglas High School instead of anywhere else. Most people believe that people who attack schools, or anywhere for that matter, have mental issues. But we have to look at all the different perspectives and analyze them. A different perspective on this is all people that do the attacks. They believe that their reasoning and acts are justifiable. People like Nicholas Cruz might think that what he did was correct because the school expelled him and because his mother died and he had reasons for acting so crazy. We as 17-year-old Christian Hondurans would never dream of taking a life away, but maybe someone from another religion like a Muslim, which have stronger beliefs, might think otherwise. Their religion is stronger and they believe to do everything for Allah. Other religions might also think this way or might lead them to believe that they have to kill someone. The implications of this is that we can never be too careful. Some people might be triggered by a small thing you said unintentionally, and that might be a small detail that leads them to finally go on the attack. You never know if you're going to be the final straw to someone for an event that he's planning. So 2 other real life situations that I analyzed were the Virginia Tech massacre, which was in a university. On April 16, 2007, a 23-year-old student attacked the university, the Virginia Tech University. He was a North Korean male named Song-Wi Cho. At 7 a.m., he began his killing spree, starting off with the 2 students in his dormitory, and then he later proceeded to the buildings in which he killed many, like teachers and more students. He ended up killing 32 people. We have to also analyze his early life and how it affected him to go through with this massacre, because it was one of the biggest ones there have been in the US. As a child, he was bullied a lot, and from people of his own church, which you wouldn't believe because people from church are normally very keen on religion and they follow it very correctly. He was also brought to from North Korea to the United States when he was just 8, which this can also lead him to believe that, which could also make him traumatized because he misses his home and he might question his parents of why they brought him to the United States. This connects to my knowledge claim because it is seen how his background in childhood and what he learned during that time affected his feelings and how he came across to express them. As he was bullied, he bullied the others in a worse way. That is the massacre. I think this was a way for him to get back to the people that bullied him. It was his indirect way of making others suffer like he suffered when he was young. The second one was a very famous one, that was the Batman film shooting in July 20, 2012. The shooter, named James E. Holmes, entered the theater with full protective gear and a rifle. He later killed 12 people and 58 ended up wounded. He suffered from a mental illness at a very young age, and he attempted to kill himself when he was only 12 years old. He said he saw ghosts, and everyone around him said he was stubborn and did not communicate. This connects to my knowledge question because his prior trauma as a child affected his decision to do a shooting in a theater. As we can see, someone trying to kill themselves or suffering as much as attempting to end their life is very traumatizing, especially for such a young kid at 12 years old. So this was the reason that he did this shooting. Thank you for listening to my presentation.